Hey everyone, Brennan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me. And it is with a sad and heavy heart to announce the passing of former Mott the Hoople and Bad Company guitarist Mick Ralphs, who passed away at 81 from complications of a stroke. Mick played with two of the greatest bands in all of rock, in my opinion, Mott the Hoople and with Bad Company. I mean, most artists don't even get to one, and he got to two amazing bands like that. Both played a part in my musical upbringing, and well versed, especially within the time that he was part of Bad Company. So this one here comes as a real shock and blow. He spent the time in Mott the Hoople between 69 to 73, so it wasn't there too long, but he did play on their first 6 studio albums, including the all-time classic All the Young Dudes, 1973, title track of which, of course, was one of the hallmark songs of the glam rock movement. And then Mott in 1973 also. Both of those albums really helping to define the whole glam rock scene. So it was interesting that he comes from that before leaving and being able to create or be part of the creation of another really great band, Bad Company. And in my opinion, one of the greatest all-time blues rock bands that there is. The original era with Paul Rodgers that spanned 1973 to 1982. And then he was part of the reformed era of the band, but they had some different singers in the lineup, and that was 86 to 99. My personal favorite, but then I'm a child of the 80s. And then reformed again with Paul Rodgers from 2008 to 2016. Now, the original Bad Company that was from 73 to 82, of course, featuring Paul Rodgers at the helm with his soulful, bluesy vocals that he has, and the killer top-notch guitar of Mick Ralphs mixed together, really set the standard for blues excellence, in my opinion. And their first 6 studio albums, in my opinion, just simply cannot be matched. They're absolute undeniable classics, whether you're looking at it from a blues rock standpoint, or you're just simply looking at it as killer 70s hard rock music. They were all over the radio. The debut album, one of the most iconic of the career, 1974, featuring 3 mega hits that came off of this thing: Can't Get Enough, Ready for Love, the title track, Bad Company. I always enjoyed the fact that they were Bad Company and had the song Bad Company from the album Bad Company. There's not many albums out there and artists that can do the 3-for, or whatever you want to call, the triple play like that. But their follow-up album, Straight Shooter, 1975, equally as good in my opinion, and having maybe arguably their biggest hit, Feel Like Making Love, on it, Shooting Star. And the band would just keep going from strength to strength with each of the successive albums. The next one being Running with the Pack, 1976, having the title track on it. This one, Burning Sky, in 77, just another great album, and the title track again from this. The beat, the bass line from that, the way that that thing plays and it comes in, and the rhythm to it, the percussiveness of it. It's an outstanding song. I mean, think of all the different styles that Bad Company did and played, and how Mick Ralphs and his guitar style played into that, and what it is that he not only gave to the era of music, but to us fans who listen to his stuff and enjoy it still to this day. Desolation Angels in 1979 with Rock and Roll Fantasy on there, and also one of the coolest album covers. I enjoy all the sort of cutout part of it, and the way your eyes have to fill in what's missing from there. But just so many cool things about the band. And even Rough Diamonds in 82, which in my opinion was kind of a throwaway album, is still top-notch from the band. And so the band would, hang it up at that point, but would reform without Paul Rodgers, which many thought can't happen. You're not going to be able to go out there and do it. And while they had a different sound, and it wasn't quite the straight out blues rock, they became more into the AOR melodic rock sound. when they returned with Fame and Fortune in '86. And it's a good album, but for me, they really hit their stride with Dangerous Age in '88. So bringing in Brian Howe, I don't think I mentioned that before, from Ted Nugent Band to front for Fame and Fortune, but this is where they really began to define themselves as an entire new generation for Bad Company fans and everything. And while some Paul Roger fans did not come along for this, understandable. As I said, my favorite era, but then I grew up in the '80s, so no doubt that I was going to enjoy this sort of stuff. So with songs like Shake It Up and No Smoke Without Fire, that stuff was all over the radio and absolutely loved it. My first album that I picked up from them, Holy Water, 1990, with the title track on here. And again, this was just, the soundtrack to my youth. This album here, and follow-up album, Here Comes Trouble in 1992. All three of these albums were just all over the radio for me. Terry Thomas, the producer, co-writing with both Brian Howe, Mick Ralphs. So I know it was a different thing, but what I also think that it showed is, again, how Mick Ralphs, coming from Mott the Hoople and the style he played there, into the more bluesy early version of Bad Company, to the more AOR, melodic rock, radio-friendly, if you will, commercial stylings that they did through the '80s. And there were a lot of fans like myself that jumped on that bandwagon, regardless of what the older fans thought. After 4 killer albums, though, Brian Howe decides to leave, and they replace him with Robert Hart, who actually had more of a bluesy style sounding vocal soulfulness to him, like Paul Rogers. So actually a good fit, although wasn't as successful. But this album here, Company of Strangers, 1995, is a fantastic album. Clearwater Highway, one of the great songs that's on this thing. If you don't know it, I would recommend it, especially in this time while we're looking back at Mick Ralphs' life and the things that he contributed and played on and did. A really underrated album that I myself personally enjoy a lot. And unfortunately, what would become the final Bad Company studio album was Stories Told and Untold in 1996. So with Robert Hart, he did these 2 albums. So one full, complete studio album of new material, and then this one here is split half and half. Basically, half songs that were old, the stories that have been told, and then new songs, the stories that are untold, but more in an acoustic vibe, almost in a southern or country rock style, if you will. So it was a little something different, but it was the popular era of the MTV Unplugged and stuff like that. So I think they were venturing into that. So these 2 albums here, verging a little bit on the country rock side of things. But again, just another style that the band veered into. And I've always found it really amazing what it was that Mick Ralphs could play, no matter who fronted the band, who he was with. He was just really always on par in what he was able to do. And despite the various singers that came and went with Bad Company, that provided, amazing soulfulness and feel in their vocals, the guitar itself was also a very defining element of the band, and courtesy of Mick Ralphs, of course, making the music that was provided almost instantly recognizable whenever any of those Bad Company songs would come on the radio. I know my ears would perk right up, and still do to this day when I'm hearing that stuff. And as I said, Mick Ralphs, an amazing guitar player that could go from strength to strength, and being part of 2 different eras of rock music, from the glam rock scene into the blues rock excellence era of 70s hard rock guitar. Really in 3, if you think about what he did with the 80s and the AOR and the melodic rock sounds of that. But this guy, as I said, doing it all and doing it for over 50 years. So rest in peace, Mick Ralphs. You will be missed, but certainly not forgotten, as your music is going to definitely live on in all of us fans out here. And as you guys sort of take stock of his life, whether you're a fan of the Mott the Hoople era or the early era of Bad Company or one of the other many eras of Bad Company, take time to remember him, think about what it is that he provided and gave and turned over to us fans in the beautiful catalog of music that we now have. I certainly will be enjoying it. I hope you will be too. And certainly remember Mick Ralphs. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.